witches, welcome back to my channel. This is Wordy Witch Writes and I'm your host Deidre. I am a self-published independent author of 3 novels, 2 paranormal mysteries for young adults, and a cozy Christmas romance that are available on Amazon. The links for those are in the description below if you want to check them out. Today is a very exciting day. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I am in the process of writing a cozy paranormal mystery series. I have just finished book 2, draft 1 in that series, and today we're going to go back to book 1 and start the developmental edit. If you've never done a developmental edit or even know what a developmental edit is, that is when you go through your manuscript for the first time and you figure out all of the plot, character, world building, all of the narrative elements of a story to make sure that they are consistent and actually telling the story that you want them to tell. You are also making sure that your novel is staying within those genre expectations. The worst thing that you can do is say that you're writing a cozy mystery and actually give somebody a horror. A cozy mystery has the elements of a mystery story. They're trying to solve typically a murder or some sort of other crime, but all of the violence and things like that are happening off the page, so the readers don't see blood, guts, gore. There are no explicit sex scenes. There's just like this cozy element of somebody living their life, usually an amateur sleuth, that is trying to solve this crime in an idyllic small town. So you need to know as a writer those expectations, but also when you're going through and editing, the very first thing that you need to do is to get into the mind of your target audience. If you don't know what your target audience yet is, what you need to do is pause this video and you need to go do research on your target audience. It is very important for you to get into the mind of your target audience as you're doing this edit, because if you don't know who you're writing for, what are you doing? Okay, so let me walk you through my process of doing the first read for the developmental edit. The very first, do add in page numbers. I then change the font in my book. So when I'm reading it, it puts me in a different state than writing it. And then the final thing that I do is I adjust my margins. I put the top and the bottom to 1/2 inch, and then the sides to 1.5 inches, and then I print it out. I like to physically have a copy of my manuscript the first time that I read it. It makes me, I don't know, the very first time I did this, it was so exciting. And now I've learned a couple tricks. I prefer to do it there's 2 pages, so pages 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are all on one document. This saves paper, but also it gives it more of like a reading it as a book for me, because you're seeing it kind of formatted like that. I still have enough room that I can take my pens and make annotations if I want. I don't usually worry so much about making comments. I might like write a question mark or like circle something for consistency. But when I'm doing my first read, I'm just reading to see where the story is, and then I'm assessing it to see if the story makes sense, if it fits within those parameters, and how much work does it actually need. And then I determine how long it's going to take. That's all I do for my first read. It's not as intimidating as some other people are going to tell you. I think a lot of people get scared when it comes to editing their first draft because they know like it's not gonna, like, it's not that your story is not good. It's that perhaps the way that you wrote it, especially if it took you a long time to write it, your voice has changed. I don't know, the story changed like direction. You came up with new ideas halfway through, things like that. So like figuring out how to make all of those things work and how to fix those are super important. So I get why people are intimidated by this, but I think it's also, for me, it's one of the funnest parts because it allows me the time to go back through and make sure that the story and the world that I've built in my head is actually showing up on the page. So I highly recommend that you do this step. If you're feeling overwhelmed at all by any of this, if you're like, I don't even know if my story is good, you could always hire a developmental editor Developmental editing is one of the pricier edits that you can do. I like to, personally, I love developmental editing. I think it's the most important editing process. I think all editing is important, but I think if you don't have a solid story, if you don't have good characters, you're not going to have a good book, and people are just going to stop reading it, even if it is grammatically perfect. So I think hiring someone, if you're new to this and you're not sure about the expectations within the genre you've written, which you'd probably need to make sure that you're reading specifically in the genre that you're writing in. But that's a discussion for another time. You can definitely hire developmental editors. There's lots of really good ones. I am a developmental editor. If you're interested in getting help on that, you can click on my website in the link description below, and I have packages listed there that you could like hit me up on, and we can talk about what you need for your edits. So that is just really all you have to do for your first edit is read it. You can make comments. Some people like to go through and tag it as they go. So like what they do is they take like multiple colors of pens. And so like blue would be inconsistencies, changing little things like on page 7 she has brown hair, and on page 8 she has red hair, things like that. Pink might be world issues, so like you need more description. I have like I don't know, just building world. There's not enough sensory details here. Add something else in. And then green could be characters. So you could like say like this character's really flat. Like, why would I trust this character? Why does she hate this person? Things like that. You just need to like add in more details about characters. That is something I usually do my second time through. My first time, I literally am just going to sit here on my couch. It usually takes me 2 or 3 days to read through my manuscript. And I'm going to do my assessment, figure out what I need to do to make this better. And that is what I suggest that you do for your first time. If you don't have ability to print it, I know that not everybody is going to have a printer. You can read it on your computer. I highly recommend that you read it someplace else than you wrote it. So if you have a laptop, sit in a different part of your house, sit on your couch. I have my special reading area in my office, but I might take this out to my couch to read it this afternoon, just to like switch things up. Sit outside if it's nice. It's December, so it's kind of hard to sit outside for extended periods of time. If you can't do that, make sure that you do change the font at least. That just allows you to, I don't know. It allows you to like, I don't know if there's like science behind it, where if you change the font, it activates different parts of your brain. It makes it seem new. There's just different tricks of the trade like that. So just definitely change the font. If that's the only thing you do, it should help you. I also recommend that you should hold off on trying to do like massive rewrites right out of the gate. Just read the manuscript. Make sure that it makes sense, and then make notes if you want as you go about things that you need to fix. I definitely will make a few notes as I go, marking out inconsistencies. If I think, like, I know for sure I did not name the pizza place that they go to often in this until the second book, because I could not think of a name other than the pizza places that I go to all the time, and I didn't want to include, like, I didn't want to steal those names, so I had to come up with something on my own, and it finally came to me while I was writing book 2. So I'll have to go back through. I think in the book 1 it literally just says pizza place, so now I'll be able to circle it and say what the name of that place is. But that's not even something that I have to do right now. I'm just assessing my manuscript, and that's what you should be doing as well. All right, witches. So next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about narrative elements and the next steps that you take while you're editing. But for now, let's just grab our coffee or our tea or our wine, whatever it is that you need, and get your manuscript and just give it a good read. All right, I'll talk to you guys next week.